Welcome, everyone. I'm really glad you are here today. This video is about something that touches every single one of us who works with information, whether you are a librarian, an archivist, a researcher, or anyone trying to make sense of the world around you. The presentation is titled, Separating Signal from Noise, the Enduring Value of Information Architects in the Age of AI. And here's the thing. This isn't a lecture about whether AI will replace us. It's about why, in a world flooded with AI-generated content, the human intelligence behind information work matters more than ever. By the end of this session, you'll have a clearer picture of what's really changing, what's staying the same, and what role you play in helping society navigate the noise. So here's a really interesting historical contrast to kick things off. Cast your mind back to the 1980s. If a researcher in Delhi needed a paper published in Boston, they might have to wait weeks, sometimes months, for it to arrive. That waiting time actually served a purpose. It forced people to be precise about what they were looking for. Scarcity was a natural filter. Your questions had to be sharp because you couldn't just scroll through thousands of results. Now fast forward to today. A student sitting in rural Rajasthan can access more information in a single afternoon than a 1990s professional could gather in months. That's genuinely remarkable. But here's the catch, the lock is gone. Information is everywhere, and it comes without any built-in judgment about quality, relevance, or accuracy. The challenge has completely flipped. And that's exactly what we are going to unpack. Here's a slide I want you to really sit with for a moment. Speed does not automatically create understanding. We live in an era where search engines and AI systems return thousands of answers in seconds. It feels powerful. It feels like progress. But ask yourself, which of those sources can you actually trust? Which claim has been verified? Which AI summary quietly contains an error dressed up in confident, polished language? This is the new scarcity, and it's a profound one. It's not a shortage of information, we've solved that problem. It's a scarcity of evaluation, of context, and of human judgment. Anyone can get an answer now. The harder skill, the more valuable skill, is knowing whether that answer is actually correct. And that is precisely where information professionals come in. That's the gap you are trained to fill. Let me walk you through what I'm calling the hallucination trapdoor, and this is something every librarian and information professional needs to understand deeply. Here's how it works. A patron asks an AI tool like ChatGPT for a specific reading recommendation. The AI generates a response that looks completely polished, a convincing title, a plausible author name, a coherent description. Looks great, right? The patron heads to the library catalog to find it, and the book simply doesn't exist. It was never published. The AI fabricated it with total confidence. This is the trapdoor. And the terrifying thing is that without human verification, polished-sounding information is completely indistinguishable from complete fabrication. This is not a rare edge case, it happens regularly. It's one of the clearest reasons why the role of the trained information professional is not just relevant today, it's critical. Now, here's the exciting flip side of the story, because AI isn't just a problem to manage, it's also a genuinely powerful tool when deployed thoughtfully. Libraries are evolving from static repositories into dynamic research engines, and AI is a big part of that transformation. Take smarter cataloging. AI can now analyze full texts in seconds and generate detailed metadata and suggested classifications, work that used to take significant time. This frees up professional librarians to focus on what really needs their expertise: rare collections, specialized archives, complex research interpretation. Then there's predictive management. Machine learning systems can now analyze borrowing trends, track curriculum shifts, and read demographic patterns, and from that, anticipate resource demand before requests even come in. That means better budget allocation, smarter collection development, and ultimately a better experience for users. The key word here is tool. AI empowers the professional, it doesn't replace them. Let's get a bit more technical for a moment, because understanding this distinction is genuinely important for how we design information systems going forward. Standard generative AI takes a broad user query, runs it against uncontrolled internet data, and produces a response, but with a high risk of hallucination, as we just saw. Keyword search has a different problem. It misses intent. If a researcher doesn't know the exact terminology for what they're looking for, keyword search fails them. Now here's the better approach: semantic search combined with Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG. Instead of matching keywords, semantic search understands meaning and context. And instead of drawing on uncontrolled internet data, RAG grounds the AI's responses in verified academic sources. The result? Contextual, high-trust responses that are actually useful for serious research. This is the infrastructure that the next generation of library systems is being built on, and information professionals are the ones who need to shape and oversee it. Something really encouraging is happening across the global library community right now. The conversation is maturing. We've moved past the early hype phase. Libraries and information professionals are no longer just asking, what can AI do? They're asking the right question: how should AI be used responsibly, and where does human judgment matter most? You can see this shift playing out across 4 areas. On the policy front, initiatives like Bibliotheca webinars are helping build workable AI policies with frontline staff involvement, the people who actually work with patrons every day. For outreach, Library 2.0 workshops are exploring AI tools while keeping community trust at the center. On assessment, the Elan Adel survey is tracking how European libraries are actually adopting AI and identifying where they need support. And on education, events like the Gale Virtual Conference 2026 are targeting AI applications specifically for teaching and information literacy. The field is thinking carefully and responsibly. Here's something that might surprise people who haven't worked closely with AI tools: getting useful output from an AI is actually a skill. It's not intuitive. It's not just typing a question the way you'd ask a friend. It's a learned, structured competency. Washington University in St. Louis developed a really elegant framework for this as part of their Future Ready Scholars series. It's called RAELC. Start with C, be clear about exactly what you need. Then L, be logical in how you structure your inquiry. Move to E, be explicit, set strict parameters and point the AI to verified sources. A is for adaptive, refine your prompts based on what comes back. And finally R, be reflective, critically evaluate the response you receive before acting on it. This framework should be something information professionals teach actively, in reference consultations, in library instruction sessions, in workshops. Effective prompting is a 21st century research skill, and we are well placed to teach it. This slide presents a framework I find really compelling. It comes from researcher J. M. Shalini Dilinika, and it merges constructivist learning theory with data justice. The idea is that in the AI age, passive consumption of information simply isn't enough. AI literacy has to be active, critical, and multidimensional. The framework maps 4 types of learning across to access, individual to collaborative, and theoretical to applied. Metacognitive reflection helps learners examine their own thinking, recognize bias, and critically evaluate AI outputs. That's individual and theoretical. Dialogical learning involves discussions, storytelling, and debates about the societal and ethical impacts of AI, collaborative and theoretical. Maker activities are hands-on projects exploring how AI systems actually work, individual and applied. And design-based learning invites people to imagine fairer, more responsible solutions to AI-related problems, collaborative and applied. This is the kind of multifaceted AI literacy curriculum that libraries are uniquely positioned to offer their communities. So let's bring this down to the practical, day-to-day level, because AI literacy isn't just an abstract concept, it's a set of habits that anyone can build. There are 5 core practices worth embedding into your everyday workflows. First, verify website domains and check source credibility. Don't just trust the polish of a page. Second, use dedicated fact-checking tools to cross-check AI-generated outputs before acting on them. Third, perform reverse image searches to validate visual claims. Images are increasingly easy to fabricate or manipulate. Fourth, always search for authentic contact information when a source seems unfamiliar. And fifth, this is critical, trace every generated citation back to the original literature before citing it yourself. The AI literacy mindset really comes down to one simple but powerful question: can I trust this output, and why? Teaching people to ask that question reflexively, and to answer it methodically, that's the work. And it's our work. I love this slide because it makes the core argument of this entire presentation visual in a really direct way. On the left, you have infinite AI speed and SEO noise, a chaotic tangle of information moving at remarkable pace but without structure, verification, or trust. In the middle, you have librarian frameworks, retrieval-augmented generation, and human verification, the structured, expert-driven filter. And on the right? Verified, trusted knowledge. That blue dot, clean, precise, meaningful. The equation is simple but profound: infinite speed without human verification equals noise. The age of information abundance doesn't reduce our need for human judgment, it amplifies it. The filter has never been more necessary. And the people best qualified to be that filter are information professionals who understand both the power and the limitations of AI systems. That is our value proposition in this era. And so we arrive at the conclusion, and I want to leave you with this framing because I think it's genuinely important. For decades, the information profession was defined by helping people overcome the barriers of scarcity. We were the gatekeepers who unlocked access to knowledge. Today, those barriers are gone. Information is everywhere. So what do we do now? Here's the answer, and I believe it wholeheartedly: we are no longer the gatekeepers to knowledge. We are the guides who help society separate the signal from the noise. That is not a diminished role, that is an elevated one. In a world where anyone can find an answer but very few can evaluate one, the information architect, trained in critical appraisal, source verification, ethical judgment, and human-centered design, is more essential than ever before. Thank you so much for being here today. I'd love to hear your questions and your perspectives. Let's keep this conversation going.